Good afternoon everyone. I am Dr. Prachi Sharma and I am from Department of Public Health Dentistry. Today we will be reading about the concepts of disease, under which we will be dealing with natural history of disease and iceberg phenomenon. So what is the natural history of disease? Earlier we have studied about the disease, how disease process take place, epidemiological triad. Now what is natural history of disease? So disease, it is a complex interaction between the man, agent and the environment. Natural history of disease signifies the way in which a disease evolves over a period of time from the earliest stage to the termination as recovery, disability or death in the absence of treatment or prevention. So what is the natural history of disease? Basically it is the course of the disease process. In the absence of any treatment or prevention, how the course takes place, either it can lead to the earlier stage of the termination, or if not, then it can lead to recovery, or it can lead to disability or death. The end result will be disability or death. So it consists of two phases, pre-pathogenesis phase and pathogenesis phase. So what is the pre-pathogenesis phase? That is, it is the process which is in the environment. That is, the disease process has not started in the host's body. So it is in the environment, that is the risk factors or the other factors which are present in the environment. What is pathogenesis phase? It is the disease process which is initiated in the man, in the body of the human. So first we will be dealing with pre-pathogenesis phase. So pre-pathogenesis phase is, it is a period which is preliminary to the onset of the disease in the men. It processes in the environment. Basically the disease agent is has not entered in the human, but the factors which favors its interaction with the human host are already present in the environment. So it can be dealt with primary level of prevention, that is the risk factors are present but disease is absent. So this is the pre-pathogenesis phase, that is the risk factors is present but the disease is absent. So to understand it more, this is the flow chart. So natural history of disease. So first we will, this is pre-pathogenesis phase. So pre-pathogenesis phase, what it shows is disease process, it has not started. Like agent, host and environment, there is no interaction between the agent and host, but the risk factors and the causative agents are present in the environment. So this is the primary. So what can be done here? Primary prevention can be done here. And what are the modes of intervention? That is health promotion and specific protection. Now coming to the pathogenesis phase. It begins with the entry of the disease agent in the susceptible human host. So the final outcome will be either the disease process leads to recovery or disability or death. How recovery? If the patient's immunity is good, so it can lead to recovery. If not, then it can further progress and lead to disability. Then the end result will be death. What are the modes of intervention here? The secondary or tertiary level of prevention is used. So to understand this, in this flow chart, the second phase, that is pathogenesis phase. Here the agent, host and environment, the interaction of all the three factors took place. Then the agent enters into the host, the agent host interaction took place. Then what will happen? Either the sign or symptoms will appear, or it may be the signs or symptoms may be hidden. Patient can be asymptomatic but still diseased. Patient can become a carrier also, and if signs and symptoms are present, it can lead to illness, and illness, if it can be recovered, or if not, it can lead to disability and then further lead to death. And what are the levels of prevention which can be used here? Like earlier, if diagnosis has made, if these signs and symptoms are present, then secondary prevention can be used with the modes of intervention, early diagnosis and treatment. If the recovery is not there and disability has been caused, then tertiary prevention is used with the mode of intervention, disability limitation and rehabilitation. So that was the natural history of disease. Now coming to iceberg phenomenon. It is also very important. So what is an iceberg? It is a huge piece of ice which is floating in the water. So that is the iceberg. And why it is relevant in our medical terms? Because according to the disease in a community is compared to the iceberg. So iceberg has three parts. First, floating tip, then the waterline and the submerged portion. So floating tip, it represents the cases, all the clinical cases, diagnosed cases, the cases which have which are sure that this is the disease, which we are sure by seeing the signs and symptoms that this is the disease, that represents the floating tip. Submerged portions are the cases which are which does not have signs or symptoms, which are undiagnosed, which are inapparent cases, latent cases, all that are present in the submerged portions. And what is the waterline? This is the demarcation between apparent and inapparent cases, that is the all the borderline cases fall in the waterline. To understand it further, so this is the diagram. So floating tip, so floating tip, it represents the clinical cases and all the diagnosed cases. And submerged portion, what it represents? It represents the latent cases, inapparent cases, pre-symptomatic cases, undiagnosed cases or the carriers. Okay. What are the latent cases? That some cases with time which show reappear, the signs and symptoms reappears, that are the latent cases. Inapparent or pre-symptomatic cases, in cases where the symptoms have not been appeared. Undiagnosed cases, the patient has the disease but he is undiagnosed. Carriers, patient has the disease but symptoms are not there, and maybe he also doesn't know about the disease and he is the carrier, but he can communicate that disease to other persons. So this is the submerged portion. And what is waterline? It shows the demarcation of apparent and inapparent cases. So floating tip represents what the physician sees in the community, that is all the clinical cases, all the clinicians are more focused about the floating tip, all the diagnosed cases, clinical cases. So it represents the what the physicians see in the community, that is clinical or diagnosed case. Clinician is concerned with the tip of the iceberg, and diagnosed for the diagnosed cases, diagnostic test is done for the tip of the iceberg. And what is submerged portion? It represents the hidden portion of the disease, that is all the latent cases, inapparent, pre-symptomatic, undiagnosed and carriers. Then in the community, so epidemiologist, we as a public health workers, the epidemiologist is more concerned with the hidden portion of the iceberg, that is all the asymptomatic cases. To diagnose that, the screening test is done for the hidden portion of the iceberg. And what represents the waterline? It represents demarcation between apparent and inapparent cases. So iceberg phenomenon, where it is used? So iceberg phenomenon is useful in all the non-communicable diseases like hypertension, diabetes, anemia, malnutrition, mental illness, obesity, etc. In also the carrier cases like influenza, hepatitis A, B, rubella, mumps, diphtheria, etc. And where the iceberg phenomenon is not shown, that are the measles, rabies and tetanus, because in all these cases, rabies, tetanus, all these have the particular signs and symptoms. So by seeing that signs and symptoms, we can say that yes, definitely this person has rabies or this person has tetanus. So iceberg phenomenon is not used here. So this is the iceberg phenomenon. Thank you.